I am Dave Schultz. I'm an adjunct instructor of government here at Weatherford College. I've been here since last September. I absolutely love it. It is most certainly worth every minute of the 45-minute commute from Collegeville back and forth. I go against the stream, so it's not that big.
Yeah.
But our presentation today, our presenter today is Laura Cummins. Laura is a Spanish instructor here at Weatherford College. She received her Bachelor of Arts from Baylor University and a Master of Arts in Spanish from Middlebury College. She lives in Brock, Texas with her husband and 3 sons. She has taught bilingual elementary students for Fort Worth and Weatherford ISD. She currently teaches Spanish classes here at the main campus, online and dual credit students at Springtown High School.
Yes,
And
sir.
we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. All right, so just so I know who I'm talking to, if you guys don't mind just kind of telling me maybe a name and kind of what you do so that as we're talking, I say pertinent information to everybody. So we heard Mr. Schultz. Okay,
Yes.
so you're an adjunct professor here at Weatherford, is that
Of government here at Weatherford. I have taught German at the high school level.
Great.
Yeah, for
Cool.
6 years.
Wonderful.
Not currently, but I like to think we had a lot of fun in the classroom.
I'm sure you did.
Speaking German, which does not sound like a very fun language at all.
But I really want to hear your expertise as well.
Well, okay, that's
Okay.
why.
I'm reading your name tag, so
James Brownlee.
there you go. There you go. And I see, does it say theater?
Fine arts, yes.
Okay.
Theater
Wonderful.
specifically.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very, very good. And I know Dr. Russell very well from very, very. And then if you'll tell me who you are.
Carla Vega, and I'm a student here at Weatherford College.
Hello, Carla. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying, even though I tried to shoo you off. And then over in the corner, what's your name, please?
Luis Martinez, I'm wanting to be a teacher, bilingual teacher. actually,
Fantastic.
So
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And as I go through, I want this to be interactive. Whenever I heard the call for this back in the fall, I thought, I would love to have a discussion with anybody who comes on how we can make things more fun. So please jump in as we go. I like to call myself Senora Cummins. The reason I like to call myself that is because in my classes I use as much Spanish as possible.
Sure.
And I want the students to be using what they would use in a Spanish-speaking area. So Senora Cummins is what I like. So I'm your Spanish instructor with Weatherford College. You've already heard about me. So let's get straight to it. I don't have handouts because I really just wanted this to be informal, something we could all kind of talk about. I'm hoping to get as much from this as you guys want. So let's just do this. Let's jump in. So fun in the college classroom. Why we are doing this? Because our job is challenging. College is difficult. Even though we might want to glance it over and try to make it as shiny as possible, at the end of the day, it's difficult. We teach challenging material. And one of the things that I tell my students is the expectation of how much you put into a college class is high to be able to learn the material. So it is challenging. I know in my class, in my first semester, we go through 6 chapters of information. It's a lot. It's quite a bit. So that's a challenge that we're facing. Time constraints. We only have so much time. So we need to be very thoughtful that we use our time wisely, we use our time well. And I really like this one. I'd love for you guys to chime in on this. So competition with our entertainment-driven society. There's an ad that I hear from time to time, and they are advertising like an online college, and they'll say, we have binge-worthy online classes. And I think, oh,
I've never heard that and I wondered what that was.
see, no one would say that about, I don't know, my online classes. I don't think anyone thinks they're binge-worthy. I don't think any of my students say, oh, what's Ms. Cummins going to say next? Oh boy, what's the next assignment in singing? So anyway, this is a product that someone out there is advertising.
Yeah.
And then they come to my class and they think this lady is, So anyway, this is our competition. This is what's out there. Short attention spans. We all have this. I mean, it's just kind of I would say a byproduct, kind of our generation, of our culture. I also wanted us to take a moment and think about the real fear that students bring into class, because a lot of people don't like to feel silly. They don't like to look silly. They don't like to look like they're not smart. There's a lot of fear that comes into that. I know I can read it in the eyes. That's why I really prefer my face-to-face and my hybrid classes, because I can see when someone has that moment of clamming up, and I can say, hey, let's do this. Let's do this. And you mentioned online. To me, that's what's hard. In an online class, it's very rare that a student will email me and say, please help with this, even though they need help with it. And then when I see it on the quiz, then I jump in to go in and try to help. But I see fear as something real. And this happened just this week in one of my classes. There was a student that I called on, and one of the things that I use in my class, I use popsicle sticks so that everyone gets a fair shake to be called on, and they have that moment of, when is it coming? You know, and I do that for prepared material. I don't do that for things that are brand new because of this. I don't want anybody to come into my class and feel nervous or feel scared. I don't want that, but I do want there to be accountability of learning material. So anyway, the other day I called on a young woman, hey, come on in. And she actually said, I'm not dumb, I'm just trying not to panic. This was something she actually said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very common.
it was very, very real for her. It was not something, that's okay. It was not something that was just thrown out. It was a real kind of moment. So that's why, once again, we look back to fun in the classroom. So this was where I wanted us to spend just a little bit of time on. Communicating that students take responsibility for their own learning. This concept is something we spent some time on the first day of my class, so we can all kind of get an understanding. So I just wanted to kick this around with you guys. Student plus material plus instructor equals the learning. Okay, this equation right here. And so I'd like to hear from you guys, which is the most important variable? And we had some others come in and join us. If you guys would just tell me if you're an instructor or student, or just kind of let me know so that I kind of know as an instructor. Okay?
Spouse.
Fantastic. 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 You are so welcome. I just wanted to be sure.
I'm more of an interested learning party because I'm trying to end up being an instructor.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I just want to make sure that I'm talking to everybody who's here. Okay, so which one is the most important? Student, material, or instructor? Which one's the most important? What do you think? There's not a right, there's not a wrong. Bring it.
I think they're all equally important.
Okay? Okay?
In terms of, I don't know, I guess we're calling it making the class fun. I find that when whoever is teaching is very passionate about what they are teaching, even if the students find it incredibly dull, they're more motivated, they're more prone to piping in and saying something, asking questions. Because one of the other things is that they're afraid they're asking a dumb question.
Yeah.
And I try to let them know that there aren't any.
Sure.
So
you're saying that the instructor is very important. Whenever
Right.
the instructor brings passion, that brings quite a bit to the table.
yeah, and I also agree that they're all equally important, but if I had to choose one to talk about as far as what motivates the students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. One of the things that I tell my students is that the material that they purchase with the class has been chosen very carefully so that it will help them be successful. So this one is set. Like this one's not really a variable. Like this one they have in their hand. This one, you're right, the instructor is a big variable because what we bring our passion, we bring our expertise, we bring the fun, which is why we're doing this today. And what I try to communicate very strongly to my students on the first day is they have a big say in this. Because if they come in and take a nap for an hour and 15 minutes while I'm teaching my very best and bringing it, they still have a nap. You know, so what I try to really help them with is, I do my part, this part's been done for them, but we all have to have a stake in it. You know, so I just wanted to start that discussion a little bit with you guys, but I like where you were headed with that, because that's what the whole heart of this session is about. How do we as instructors make the students want to be engaged? How do we share that passion? How do we bring all of that out in them? So, with that, the byproducts of the fun that we have in the classroom, relaxed state of the brain. Okay, whenever I was doing my master's work in Spanish, one of the things that we talked about was if your brain is at a high place of tension, a high place of fear, a high place of being threatened, you're not going to retain.
No.
You know, and so as instructors, I think it's really important that we remember that our students need to be at that relaxed place so that they remember what we say, so that they can engage with us. Build the class community. I love having fun so that we can all build the class together. Make it fun, make it something that's enjoyable to do, and help the students feel comfortable. That's really important to me, and we'll talk more about that as we go. The positive attitude. A lot of people come into Spanish class and they say, my high school Spanish teacher was awful. According to the students that I've had, there's just an epidemic of awfulness out there. And I get to tell you, today's a new day. Today's a new day. You know, and I know often it's perception that has driven memories. You know, it's not necessarily truth that we're talking about. And I never throw other people under the bus because I've never sat in their chair. So, you know, just know that I've heard quite a few things. But I try to help them with the positive attitude. So what else? What are other byproducts of fun that you guys have seen or that you guys like to see in your own classrooms or have seen in classrooms? Would you dream of having in classrooms?
Continued interest in the field or area.
Yeah, absolutely.
They expand and branch out and start exploring.
Wonderful. What would you like to say? Were you indicating?
Well, yeah, with German,
Yeah.
I know I get the guy's attention talking about armaments and war stuff
Yeah.
and history of Germany and
Absolutely.
culture. In government, I'll jump under the Fort Worth Star Telegram and we'll just look at the front page of the paper.
Yeah.
And invariably, there is one or two headlines that go directly into what we're talking about that day. So you get the juices flowing.
Yeah.
I like the relaxed mind thing. When I was at the high school 5 years in a row, I had my own room in the basement
Mhm.
and almost kind of a cult following
Uh-huh.
because it was so, you know,
Yeah.
Gnostically above it all. And when I came in, when the students came in every morning, there'd be Gregorian chant or some type of very relaxing classical music, and it just set the mood, you know, because they had so much stimulus response, and then coming into a relaxed classroom, relaxed brain is,
Yeah, it's a really good thing.
I can see that work.
And so as we're going to be talking, how do we do this? You know, this is the big goal. This is what we're all hoping for. So I'm wanting to hear from you as we do this. Group participation is so welcome, even though I chased out the other students that were here because this is really more for those of us who are instructors to kind of kick around. I love to hear what you all have to say, especially since you have a heart for teaching, to go into this and do this one day. Because it may be that we perceive something on our side that y'all say, that is awful. You know, and we'd like to hear that. That's what I want this to be about. So a safe space. One of the things that I try really hard in my class is no one needs to feel ashamed, no one needs to feel scared, no one needs to drop their head and feel awful about anything. We're all learning together. So I make mistakes. We're all human. And when I do, I make a huge deal about, oh, I messed that up. You know, and I make it okay. You know, I just make it a humanity kind of a thing. And when a student will correct me, which happens, I say, thank you, thank you. And one of the things that I've learned in my Spanish classes is there are people who come to my Spanish classes that are native speakers. And it could be that their parents say it different than I do. Because I was educated in Spain, so no one talks like me here. But my way is not the only way. And so I tell them, great, how does your, and so we do that as we go. And I make them know that there's not one way, but we're all learning. And whenever we do correction in my class, like one of the things we do in my class is we read quite a bit aloud. And in my first semester class, that can be really fun with, you know, first semester new students. And so if someone has a particular issue with a word, we'll all say it together. You know, we'll all repeat it so that we all get that practice and so that person isn't singled out. Another thing that I like to do in my class is I really try hard to get to know students. Because if a student comes to me from a Spanish-speaking home and they've had 3 years of Spanish, then it's going to be a different comfort level than someone who took sign language and has never had a day of Spanish. So on the first day, I asked them to fill that out for me. But I also asked them to tell me a little bit about them, you know, so I can just kind of know them, why they're taking it. I love it when they're like, I have to have one semester. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the honesty. Yeah. But I really love it when they're like, I want to have a minor in it and go on and be fluent just like you. Of course you do. Everyone wants to be just like me. But anyway, that can be really helpful. And one of the things that I did this semester is I gave that info sheet back to them after the first test. And I said, this is where you wrote what your goals were for this class. And I, in a polite way, you know, I kind of said, none of you wrote, I wanted to make a D and barely hang out by the skin of my teeth. So what are we going to do different as we go forward? You know, that's kind of a reminder. I also make name tags. I do, nameplates. This is because I am 41 and I can't remember anything. It's all gone. It's all gone. My youth is past.
Well, I give up.
And so what I do, and I use them for a couple of weeks, and I just put them in front of them, and I tell them, this is for you, this is not for me, you're not in kindergarten, this is for me. But I have to give them grades on how they speak. And if someone is just a number, I can't give them a grade on how they do that. And so I put the name tag in front of them so that I can do it for me. No one has ever complained to my face about it, you know, but it's something that I do so that a name goes with the face. So is there anything that you guys do in your classes or you've seen teachers do that kind of help with setting the stage for it to be a safe place where students are more than a number, you know, where we can all kind of interact?
Student names are the biggest thing. First day of class, I'm standing where you're standing, and I draw a diagram of all the desks and the seats. And
Yes.
when I call roll for the very first time, it's all business, and when they shout out their name, I write right where they're sitting. The
Okay.
preachers I have, and you don't have to tell them, choose your seats for the semester, they just do anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you know their name by the third lecture, that's street credit that money can't buy. It's very important.
Because they like to be treated as individuals. They don't,
Well,
they
at
don't like.
collegiate level,
Yeah.
they're paying
Oh, yeah.
for what
Because
they're
there's enough
getting.
systems where your social security number, driver's license number, you're a number, you're an employee number. It's
Yeah.
good to have that person that's able to call you by name and to be able to treat you as the individual.
You see them in the hall, you just mention their name, and you got them.
Interactivity,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I'm going to start sharing the fun stuff, the stuff that I get really excited about. So the ideas that I have found that have worked. Now, at the end of the presentation, I am going to share some flops that have been pretty enormous. And I'd like to hear from those as well, if you guys have some of those. And I find that each group is different. You know, and in my background, I do have a master's degree in Spanish. I don't have a doctorate, I've got a master's degree. And I worked for 5 years with elementary bilingual children. I loved second grade. You would be amazed how much second grade is very similar to college teaching. Now, of course, they are adults, and so I have to be respectful. I have to be respectful of the dignity of adults, but learning is learning. You know, at the end of the day, good learning is good learning. Now, I saw you getting really
I
excited.
love second graders. No, I observed for 2 years in 2 different, and like, I don't know, it's amazing. It's like exponentially, like, they come in, they don't even, like, they barely know 1 through 10, and then like, all of a sudden, at the end of the day, they're like,
Yes. It is
I know
the
everything
dream
under the
age.
sun.
The dream age. I loved second grade. All right, so in my class, I give opportunities for them to bring in food for extra credit. And I call it cultural extra credit. You know, and I check to be sure if anybody has allergies.
Sure.
And I'm not the one that brings in the food because, dude, I've only got so much money and so many people and all of that. But I had a student who brought in dulce de leche cake. You know, people, and she would bring in, this was at Granbury, so she brought in plates and she cut it all up. She bought it at Walmart because she was at Walmart anyway. That was a cultural moment that bonded us as a class. There was another young woman also at Granbury that actually made special Mexican street snacks. Like they were super fancy, and she brought salsa and she poured it on, and it was a moment of pride for her. So I know that not all of us teach Spanish, but it was a neat moment where culture could come together with classroom community and really make something special. And I know last semester in my class, we had Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead. I brought everybody some pan dulce. Because in the poem that we read about Grandpa's favorite bread that he ate, and they all got to have that interactive experience with that. So it was just, you know, Mexican donuts that came from HEB, but it was a moment. It was a moment. Now, I don't do that all the time. I don't do that for every culture, but it's cool when it happens. Okay, so music. When you guys came in, I was playing, it was just Pandora. It was from Spain. It was flamenco guitar. And I love to have that as the students come in because it's like a new culture. It's like coming into a party. Now, what I don't like is whenever I do my Mexican chapter, I have a mariachi station, so they come in and you know, and it's kind of the opposite of the state of relaxation. So sometimes we change the songs, you know, and I always tell them if they come in and there's a song that's driving them crazy, give me this, we'll go to the next song. Yeah, it's just cultural exposure. It's just fun, just fun. On quiz and test days, I don't play the music because we don't need more. We just kind of need calm on that thing. So with culture, we do a lot with culture in my Spanish classes. And one of the things that I find is really fun is to use graphic organizers so that while students are calling in answers to me, we can see what's the same, what's in this country, what's in this country, what's in our country, how's it same, how's it different, just kind of in that way. I like to make cultural connections. So, like, for example, in my 2311, we were talking about Puerto Rico, and we were discussing how Puerto Rico, in the history, there has been lots of immigration from Puerto Rico to New York City, and we were talking about West Side Story and making the connection between the difficulties of the culture at that time. And so they were so funny because these were dual credit students, and they said, Romeo and Juliet was in West Side Story? Yes. Yes, it was. And it's a Puerto Rican influence. So just trying to connect things together, trying to bring them in. So listen for what they like. I've had quite a few students that have been in the drama department and have come through. And whenever I mention something about drama, they get excited. Well, we play charades in that semester. You know, we do things so that the students can get excited about what we're talking about. So when I see their eyes light up, I try to head down that path. You know, I try to really make use of that whenever I can. Whenever I can give the students the reins and really get their buy-in on stuff, I try to run forward. So any examples that you guys have seen in your classes or any ideas that this brings out for you guys in the situation that you've seen yourselves in?
One thing with the music, I do online now, so I can't really do it anymore, but I used to have a game with my students and I'd play music that I knew, and the deal was if for every exam, the whole class could go together, they had to give me the name of the song and the original artist, and it was all stuff that I liked. So it would be like Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or maybe the Cars or the Speedwagon, and they got so into it. And if I had a non-traditional student that was more my age, I was like, you can't play, that's not fair. You can't play, but they loved it. And then I'd say, give me music, and I've got music on my playlist. I had this guy, he was Algeria, and it was like this weird French rap music, but I played a bit, so that gave them a chance, and I said, you can tell me what to play, I'll play it, but it can't, be full of obscenities.
Yeah.
So, and then they'd tell me and we'd play it, and I was like, yeah, I don't like that, or yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So it was a way that we could sort of connect.
Yeah, and I like that you were listening for the things that were important to them.
Yeah,
It wasn't just all about you.
yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, connectivity is hugely important on any level.
Yeah.
You're not going to listen to somebody that you don't connect with.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can see the difference in generation gaps between, anybody that remembers being a kid. You didn't listen to your parents. You didn't think they got you. You didn't have the connection. And then later, when you grew up, you're kind of like, okay, I wish I had paid more attention to all of that.
Uh-huh.
And of course, any of you out there have kids at home, you have the same problem. If you don't have that connection, your kid is not listening to you. They don't think you get it or you know what's going on.
All right, so total physical response. Back whenever I taught second graders and first graders, we did lots and lots of this. I find that with college students, I kind of have to read the room. Some college students are dramatic. I'm dramatic. I love being on stage. I love performing. I don't embarrass easily at all.
Right.
Some students do. Some people are very, very reserved, and they don't enjoy this kind of thing. I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's my show today. So anyway, just that was the caveat before I got going on it. With TPR, that means total physical response. One of the things that I do in my class is I actually use Legos with verb conjugation. So if you know anything about Spanish, the most basic conjugation you do is you take off the AR, you put on o, as, a, almost ice on, and that makes I speak, you speak, he speaks, we speak, hello, come on, y'all speak, they speak. So you just learned Spanish, welcome. That was the whole deal. That was my whole first semester. So I show this to my students, and this is something that I'm going to say maybe 5% of students need this kind of visual explanation of this concept. Many of them have had high school Spanish where they spent 2 months on this and they know it in their sleep. But if I have someone who took Latin 30 years ago, and it's been a while since she's had languages, it's really nice to have my Legos so that if she comes to my office, we can practice with that. So this is just an example of something that I wouldn't say that I use every day, but it is helpful. It is nice to have. One of the things that I like about total physical response is that it levels the playing field for all learners in the room. Like today in my first semester class, we were reading a cultural passage, and it integrated the pastime vocabulary, like going on a walk, going skiing, all those, it's the pastimes that you have in chapter 3. And it was saying how you could do that in Columbia in a national park. Well, guess what we did? In Miss Cummins' class, we acted that out. So we went through it. Whenever we talked about swimming, we actually acted like swimming. Now, some students didn't really want to participate, and I made it okay to not participate. They all just sat at the desk. I was silly. I was the great big cartoon, doing all the actions. But the research shows us that if your body does it, your brain remembers. So even though it may feel silly, I gave everyone permission to be a little silly, and I'll say, let's all. Okay, now the next example I have, I'm gonna not drag it out because you kind of have to follow with me for a second. I had pictures from where this was with my class that I did this with, but I chose to not use the pictures because they didn't turn out great. So I'm gonna give a quick explanation of what this is. This is from my 2311 class, so this is pretty, a pretty good grammar in Spanish. But the basic idea with this is, in Spanish you say, give it to me, give it to her, give it to them. It's indirect objects, direct objects, so that's what we're talking about here. So whenever you do it, you have your indirect object, which talks about the person, you have your direct object, which talks about the thing, and then, I promise the magic is coming. Whenever you do this in Spanish, if you have lay or lace, it changes to say. Okay, and then it goes with lo and a lot. Just trust me, I'm not going to give you a test. So what I did with my students was I passed out note cards so that we acted this out. And one student got to be lay. And lay, whenever lay is connected up with la, changes to say. So we took turns acting this out. Okay, this is total physical response. This is what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm not going to make you guys do this, but anytime I can get students up out of their desks of doing something, I take advantage of it. Because the more they're up, the more they're moving, the more involved they are in the learning. And in that particular semester, there was one individual that had a lot more challenge. Okay, we won't go into it, but just that was the situation. Whenever we would get up and we would do things like that, she felt more included because everybody else was doing what she was doing. So it was kind of a breath of fresh air for her. All right, now we're going to get into what I think is super, super fun. How many of you all have heard of Kahoot? Okay, good. A lot of you have. Great. Well, there goes my exciting applause, but that's okay. We're going to do it anyway. So with Kahoot, in just a second, if you want, you don't have to, but if you want, there's going to be a Kahoot game where you're going to get on and do it with me. If you want to, you're welcome to. As long as one person does it, that's fine. So anyway, if you guys want to go ahead and make sure that you have Wi-Fi or whatever it is, because we're just about to do it. So on review days, I like using Kahoot. The one I use is free. Teachers can pay and all that stuff, but it's free. Whole class, okay? I like to do it as whole class so that if Dr. Russell doesn't want to get on the computer that day and do that, he doesn't have to. I don't connect it to a grade. I don't make it a big deal. I am very careful not to shame students, because as we go through it in just a second, you'll see how people could get embarrassed. I try real hard to not be that guy, and I try to keep it light. I've had students get angry at me whenever Kahoot doesn't go their way, and I've tried to gently say, it's the last week of the semester, this is the final review, this is what we've done all semester long. Not my fault you didn't study. Right. But I try to not make it a zinger. We all have enough zingers in our lives. We don't need more zingers. So anyway, this is what my Kahoot page looks like. So I just make my Kahoot pages over vocabulary review. I don't get into real nuts and bolts stuff with it. The one we're going to do is get to know your teacher. So this one is one that I use at the end of the semester as review. So we are going to play it, and here we go. So we're going to play, and it's going to show you where you're going to, yes, we're going to post it on. And whenever I first did this, the reason I did it was because I have children who, okay, so this is what you do. You're going to go ahead, if you choose to join us, you don't have to download anything. You won't get any spam or anything like that. So you go to kahoot.it. You don't have to get the app. You just put that in, and then you put in this number. And whenever you start it, good, I see people doing it. Hooray, hooray. I was hoping someone would. So anyway, my children, I've got a 4th grader and twins that are 6th graders. They use this at that level, and they really enjoy it. That's where the idea came from. And I'll show you in just a second how I used it in the college classroom. just because this is one of those unique things about teaching these days. Notice red wallaby, witty dog, green neck. I have no idea who that is.
Good day, mate.
I don't want to know. I don't
Okay.
want to know. That's the point I'm about to make. Because let's say you miss every single one, I don't want you dying in shame in the background.
Oh,
Okay, so
I
that's-
noticed they don't allow you to enter your own name.
Would you like to know
Which
why?
I've had problems with in the past.
Yeah, the reason for that is because there are some precious, wonderful students who will write awful profanity. And then there you are as the teacher going, "Whoa, don't look, we can't." So that's the reason, because that's the world we live in. So anyway, that's why you are assigned to be who you are. So once we're ready to go, we'll get going with this. So am I waiting for anybody else? If I am, say yes, so I don't push that. Are we good? Okay, you're good. Yeah, you can just watch it. And I always make it okay to not play. I don't use these for grades, I don't. Okay, so we're gonna get to know the teacher. So in the first one, ¿Cómo se llama tu maestra? Now this is the end of my first semester class. So they're gonna have to sit across the table from me for an oral proficiency exam, and I'm gonna ask them in Spanish what their name is. This is something they know. So, what's your name? So notice, that means Miss Reindeer, that means Miss Butterfly, this means Mr. Frog, that's, of course, the glorious person in front of you. You know, so, and you have however many seconds, and then it goes to the next one. If you decide you want to see it, you can see it. Okay? And then it shows you, okay? So, someone thought I was Miss Reindeer, and that's totally fine. I have antlers, I'm just tagging them right now. But notice, you don't know who that person is, and it's not a big deal. You just move on down the road.
Everyone knows who I am, though, right?
But it doesn't say. See, now if you
Thought
want,
I made it clear.
now right here, it will show you if you're genius blind with it.
Oh, nuts.
But I go really fast through that, because I don't want anybody to feel that. So what does your teacher teach? So then they get to choose. You know, mathematics, social sciences, Spanish. Now I went fast because they're good. I'm glad that everyone saw that I do not teach theater. I'm not qualified. I only love theater. Okay, so, ¿de dónde es tu maestro? This one's fun. So where am I from? Am I from Mars? Am I from Norman, Oklahoma? Am I from Hawaii? Am I from England? You know, this is just kind of basic review for them. Some of them don't know where I'm from, and that's okay. But yes, I'm from Oklahoma, not from Mars. Thank you for your kindness with that. So, mascotas, that's a vocabulary term that we use in the first semester. So with this, I'm reviewing verbs, I'm reviewing some general vocabulary. So through the semester, I've talked about my animals. Do I have 2 dogs? Do I have 5 cats? Do I have a bird? Do I have 4 fish? They may not know, but I got to review. See, good for you, I'm a dog person, you can just tell. I appreciate that. I'm not the kind of person that can have 5 cats. I'm not. So, pastimes. This is something we go through in my semester. So what do I like to do? Okay, so she likes to paint, she likes to read, she likes to run, she likes to play the guitar and the piano. They've had me all semester, so they know, okay, that I really like, which one do I put? So we'll get to guess on this. And this one's taking a little bit longer, okay? One person guessed the guitar and piano, other people said different ones, and that's okay. Yeah, guitar and piano is what I chose there, so. Anyway, we keep going. There were only 2 more, okay? So where did your teacher go during the vacation last summer? Okay, so I put up a little hint that a little seal was up there. So did I go to the beach? Did I go to the mountains? Did I go to a volcano? Did I go to the city? This reviews a verb that we've studied through the semester. So yes, it was the beach. The little seal was helpful. Okay? And then, so what is a fun fact about your teacher? You know, these are just reviews. I like the cute picture there. So she loves to ski slowly. She has 5 brothers. She plays the banjo. She plays golf. So you can just guess which one that is. The reason I choose this, it's a good reminder for them how to make adverbs in Spanish. Slowly. That's why I chose some of these things with some humor thrown in. Okay, I actually do love to ski really slowly. I like to ski, but I don't like to go fast. So there you go. It's a unique, lovely quality about me. And then, are you ready for the exam? Okay, because this is right before the final in my class. So yes, absolutely. And I don't know if I'm ready, but I have to do it anyway. Okay, so the students can choose which one it is. There's not a right or a wrong there. You know, they're all okay. And then we have a little talk about how we need to get ready. Yeah. So this is Kahoot. This is how Kahoot works. Okay, I have students who really enjoy this. I don't want to know who Witty Dog is. With my classes, I close down before we even go through and do this. What I like about Kahoot is it's a really great way to break up a boring day. if we've been sitting and we've been doing stuff that's not all that fun, that sure is a fun way to do it. Now, Quizlet, how many of you guys know Quizlet? Okay, so good, good. Okay, good. I didn't know it until just a little bit ago, and I think it's a fantastic thing. So Quizlet is like Kahoot's brother, but it's more competitive. Okay, so the way Quizlet works is I use it for grammar. And the way that I use it is I'll tell the students, okay, everybody, in chapter 2, I expect you to know these nationalities because that's part of one of my classes. So there are all of these flashcards, okay, that are made up. So Argentina, that's for a man, that's for a woman. That's what it is in English. Here's the flag. And we're going to have a game where you're going to have to know that. Okay, and the way Quizlet Live works is we're not going to go through and do it like we did unless we have time at the very end and we really want to. But the way Quizlet Live works is everybody on their own screen has their own like multiple choice quiz. And you may have the answers and he may have the answers, but not everybody has the same answers at the same time. So you're in groups of 2 or 3 or 4, and you have to know the information, and your team is against his team. So we really encourage students to know and use the information. It's a little bit higher stakes. So I like to use that at the end of the chapter whenever we're practicing grammar in specific ways. So anyway, that's something that a lot of the high school teachers use, and a lot of high schoolers use it. One reason I like it so much is they can also, this is easy to show you, this isn't as complicated. But like up here, if they're on it at their own house, they can go to the flashcard, they can start the game, and right here, inglesa, that's going to go with English. What a great way to practice with flashcards. So it has components like that, which I really love. So anyway, let's go on back. Let's go on back to the rest of this. Okay. So anyway, I really, really enjoyed Quizlet. It's lots of fun. I have found that if students know a Quizlet match is coming, there's a motivation to not be the weak link on their team. Because it's small group, so they're working together, but it's not like back in the day when I did Jeopardy. And if you were the only one on your team that didn't know the answer, then everybody got mad at you and then you felt bad. It kind of fed into that. This is the friendlier way to have some competition.
Quizlet's terrific because you have access to so many other quizzes that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
There's a lot of other clever people out there that have already got something
Well, and I'm glad you
pretty cool.
brought that up, because if anyone wants to use Quizlet, all you do is click on search. You put in the title of the text, like I
There's
use
everything.
process. And so if I just put in chapter 2, I have access to everybody before me that has gone through and made flashcards in chapter 2. And then all I have to do is customize it for free, and it took me less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, and students also know that they can use this. So if they want to go and they want to get, like this is one that I made that anybody can use, so that was from chapter 6. And if somebody wants to practice with that thing, there it is, they can all practice it. So I really like that as well, because students know how to use this. And one of the challenges that I've taken on as an instructor is I'll take a concept and I'll say, okay, there are 3 steps to this concept. I'm going to make a flashcard set of the first step. Let them really get that. And then extend it. Let them get that. And then extend it. So that it's not all 3 things at once, but so that it's graduated a little bit more. And I find that that's a nice thing. Okay, so now let's just do fun stuff. Pop culture is a great way to show kids, hey, I'm on your page. I'm not great at it because I'm not very cool, but I do try. So, I talked about the Legos before. Last semester I had a student who asked me a specific grammar question. I pulled in Transformers. I know very, very little about Transformers, but I know enough to know that they move and they mutate. I drew that in with verbs. And he was really impressed. So anyway, I just had to brag on that because I am not very good at all those things. Another thing, whenever you can bring in Yoda, whenever you can bring in the fun kind of pop culture with this. My son made that after Christmas. He was very proud. So, this was something I was able to explain the growth mindset to my students, that Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. We go, we do. So that was just kind of a fun way to bring them in. Super Bowl. With my second semester class, we practiced with saying I like. There were 3 Super Bowl ads that I thought were fun and were appropriate for class. I just played the minute of them. We all laughed. We all got to have fun with that. And after they got to review with how to say I like or I don't like. And they spoke more in that opener than they had the rest of the semester, which was really nice. And I also told them, you watch for your favorite video. shoot me a text, on Canvas, send me a message before class, and I'll put yours up. No one did that. I chose to not take it personally. It was okay, I got to be in control of it. But anyway, that was fun. That was fun. Another thing that I like to point out to my class that I think is important, we all need help. This is not a great picture, you can't see it super well. My sons and my husband and I, we play Dungeons and Dragons, and my sons think it's so fun to kill monsters and all of this stuff, and I'm just lost in most of it. And if you've ever played or you know how it works, there are lots of die that you roll as you go. I can never remember what they are, so my husband made me a cheat sheet. And so you can't see, but the numbers actually tell me which one is the 20, which one's the 10, which one's the 6, the 4, whatever. So I show this to my students, and I tell them, I'm way lost with my kids when we do this silly game. So if you are lost with something, we're all on the same, we're all on the same journey. I try hard to kind of make that humanized. Okay, so we're almost at the end. I told you I would tell you my flops at the end. I brought in my guitar once when I was still at grade grade. I'm not a great singer, but I can do it. I mean, really, I can. And I can play the guitar, and I play with the children at church, and it works well. College kids not impressed. Not impressed. And I've only done it twice. The second time I did it, I'm not kidding. As soon as I was done, a young woman said, that guitar was out of tune the whole time you played.
Oh, no.
And I said, oh, would you like to tune it?
Yeah, right.
Because, and she did.
Yeah.
Really badly.
Oh, no.
But she took ownership of it, and she felt
Sure.
really good showing me what she did, and that was okay. And that
Yeah.
was okay. Maybe if there was a fight to be won, I would let her win. But not great. Not great. I have not brought my guitar back since that day. Because second graders love guitars and they love singing and they love music. College kids not so much.
Yeah.
Now sometimes, if I have all education majors who want to teach kindergarten, we can rock. Okay? Not so much if I've got criminal justice people in the room and maybe others that are not so theatrically minded. Whatever it is, I've just learned, leave the guitar at home. So, embarrassing students, not a good thing. In high school settings, from time to time, I've been able to have a stuffed frog and kind of toss it to kind of quiz people as we go. Not appreciated by every student in all of the world. The frog stays home. He just doesn't even come anymore. And we used to play Jeopardy. Students really did not like when they would be put on a team with a weak link, and then their team would do poorly. This was not real good for class bonding, class motivation. So Quizlet Live is the Jeopardy point 2 that is not so bad. So we have, okay, now I've been talking for a long time, our session's almost over. So what do you guys want to throw out here? What are flops that we can all laugh at you with, since I shared some? Or great things that you guys can say, hey, I want to share this.
I had a whole section of German 1 freshman boys sing their hearts out.
Awesome.
Their voices got raw because they were singing so loud, which was very impressive for everybody out in the comments.
I bet so. Now, did you play your guitar? Or
Nope.
did they just,
It was German Army marching songs. So I cherry-picked some of the more safe ones.
Yeah,
And they recognized them from their video games,
yeah.
and they took ownership.
Very
Auf
cool.
die Heide blüht ein schönes Blümelein.
And I would bet that created a memory for them.
Oh.
That's very rich.
Well, I won their hearts that first week, and they were up for anything as long as we could sing Auf die Heide.
Very good. So what else? What else does anybody want to share? You guys have been very kind to listen to me for so long. I appreciate it.
In my intro class, which, I like to think that people take it because they've heard that I'm a great teacher, but I also get the feeling sometimes that people take intro to theater because they think it's like a throwaway class.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh,
And I assign plays for them to read, not a lot,
yeah.
okay? And what I tell them is, okay, reading plays is really awful, and here's why. Because they aren't meant to be read like a novel or a textbook. And what I tell them is, as you are reading this, say the words out loud, because when they are spoken aloud, they take on a whole new dimension that is not going to be present if you're just reading it silently to yourself. And better yet, if you can find a production of this to watch, I wholeheartedly encourage you to do so. You know,
Yeah.
so it's not like something that they have to read for another class and,
Yeah.
you know, and retain the information so that they, you know, pass a test.
Yeah.
But I do make them do that. I've heard it to be, found it to be very effective, so.
Yeah, I could see that making a big difference, because when you see theater, the words have emotion, they have context. It's not the same as just reading a line of something.
Right,
You know what I mean? There's script reading, and then there's
right.
the actual feeling behind it, and if you just try and read it like it's an everyday novel, you're missing 90% of the essence of what it really is.
Yes, and with a fraction of a percent of exceptions, you know, it's all written to be spoken aloud and
And in
performed.
some cases, overly dramatically so.
Right.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up unless anybody else had something else they would, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
What would you say to a student who's more reserved, who is a little bit embarrassed to participate in an interactive classroom or a discussion-based classroom?
What I would say is if you have someone like me that's a crazy nut that really enjoys that, send an email that says, I'm reserved, please give me my space. You know, I watch really hard to look for signals and cues because I married a man that is the quietest, shyest just person ever, and I respect that because not all of us feel real comfortable. So if you're in a situation where it's expected to be real over the top and real loud, just send an email to the professor. It just says, this really is outside my comfort. You know, and most professors will reach you in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for saying that, because you're right, not everybody wants to do all this. Not everybody wants to, and they don't have to.
I could see that being a rough area, trying to get people involved, but trying to be careful about the people that don't want to be involved. Because you're not sure if they're legitimately shy, and if you should kind of, you know, what I call set the hook, trying to kind of reel them in to get them more involved, or if you should leave them
Yeah.
alone. So
Well, but what
see that being
I'm
an
more
issue.
careful of anything is I don't want to bring about that fear or that shame or let anybody feel like they've let me down in any way. So you're right, it's a balancing act. Because I want it to be so fun that everybody gets everything they can out of the subject matter, but at the end of the day, I want to respect people's dignity and who they are as people. So thank you for bringing that up. Yes, ma'am.
Have you, you told me, you said that you use the popsicle stick as to, do that when that's doing, do you still find yourself using the popsicle stick?
It depends on the day. It
Okay.
depends on the day. Sometimes I'll teach something hard, and I know that we're really having trouble, and I'll even say, this is not a popsicle stick kind of activity. You know, and so I do say that. And I also tell them, hey, if I pull your popsicle stick and you're having an off day, give me this, and it goes to the next person. I try really hard to not keep those stakes super high, because grades are high enough. You know, grades are enough. I try to keep things low. So anyway, just to close up, this was the reason that all this is important, because what we do is challenging. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. There are lots of things to keep in mind. But at the end of the day, when we can help our students be relaxed and they can retain the information, we can build positive attitudes in comfortable environments, it's a good day. It's a good thing. So, all right.
You do.